The High Council chamber of the Viral Imperium hung suspended in the vastness of the crystalline nebula, a testament to ancient ambition and the relentless pursuit of order. Its colossal obsidian spires pierced the ethereal glow of nebular gases, each facet mirroring the silent, watchful gaze of countless generations. Within its central, cyclopean hall, the echoes of 1,000 senates resonated in the hushed air, a sacred space where the fate of star systems was routinely forged and broken. Here, beneath the shimmering canopy of a simulated cosmos, sat the collective mind, the Viral's highest governing body, a tapestry of the most ancient and potent consciousnesses among their myriad species. They manifested as shimmering, multifaceted projections, each imbued with the collective wisdom and anxieties of their respective civilizations. The air, typically thick with the resonant hum of controlled power and quiet authority, was now permeated by an almost palpable tension, a static charge born of profound uncertainty. Elder Cathar, the designated speaker of the council, a being whose form coalesced from shifting nebulae of amethyst light, projected a field of deep, resonant concern. His tendrils of light pulsed with an unusual frequency, signaling a significant perturbation in his usually imperturbable demeanor. "We stand at a precipice, my esteemed colleagues," Cathar's voice reverberated through the chamber, a cascade of harmonized frequencies that penetrated the very core of perception. The data concerning the species designated humanity remains incomplete, inconclusive, yet their expansion rate, their technological adaptability, their very unpredictability, it presents an anomaly of the highest order, a threat perhaps to the established galactic order. A chorus of low, guttural chimes, the traditional ascent of the Gormek representatives, rippled through the hall. Gormek Commander Vrax, a being of hardened chitin and formidable psionic presence, manifested as a towering, segmented form of emerald green. "Threat is an understatement, Elder Cathar. Our scout probes, tasked with passive observation of their nascent interstellar probes, encountered an unexpected response. Primitive energy signatures, yes, but applied with an efficiency that defies their documented technological tier. They deflected rather than absorbed or ignored our observation attempts. A deliberate act of concealment, perhaps, or worse, defiance." Vrax's psionic aura flared, a warning siren of aggression. The Gormek, renowned for their militaristic expansion and pragmatic approach to potential rivals, saw only danger in the unknown. Their philosophy dictated that any burgeoning power whose trajectory could not be accurately plotted was a force to be neutralized, or at least meticulously controlled. From the ethereal, shimmering form of Ambassador Lyra of the Xylos Collective, a species known for their profound analytical abilities and their mastery of intricate diplomatic protocols, came a counter-argument, soft but firm. Her holographic manifestation pulsed with a gentle, calming cerulean light. "Commander Vrax, your assessment, while rooted in valid data points, overlooks the inherent complexity of emergent civilizations. Their deflection could simply be an instinctive self-preservation mechanism, an untrained reaction to unknown energy signatures. We ourselves, in our formative eras, exhibited similar, often clumsy, responses to unexpected external stimuli. We are observing a species that has only recently achieved rudimentary FTL capabilities. Their unpredictability may be a consequence of their relative youth, not an inherent malice." Lyra's calm projection radiated a measured, intellectual curiosity, a stark contrast to the Gormek's aggressive pragmatism. The Xylos believed in understanding before condemnation, in data analysis preceding decisive action. Elder Cathar, ever the arbiter, allowed the differing perspectives to ripple through the chamber, his own light shifting to a deeper indigo as he absorbed the collective input. Both perspectives hold merit, yet the Gormek's concerns regarding their technological progression are not entirely unfounded. Our initial assessments classified humanity as a Tier 3 civilization, possessing fragmented FTL, rudimentary energy shielding, and basic resource extraction capabilities. We provided them, as per standard protocol for emergent species bordering our controlled sectors, with a curated package of technological schematics. Basic gravitational stabilizers, improved atmospheric processing units, rudimentary long-range sensor arrays. Technologies deemed safe, easily integrated, and non-threatening. Essentially, scrap components and principles that would expedite their internal development without granting them any significant external power. The word scrap was projected with a subtle inflection of dismissiveness, a reflection of the Viral's ancient pride. They ha. After all, nurtured countless species from their earliest interstellar fumbles. A new projection shimmered into being at the central dais, a being of pure, swirling data known as the omniscient nexus of the K-Tari, a species whose entire existence revolved around the collection, analysis, and synthesis of information. Its voice was a multi-layered symphony of compiled probabilities. My analysis indicates an unprecedented rate of technological assimilation and innovation within the human species. The provided schematics, while indeed rudimentary by our standards, have been integrated, adapted, and in several instances fundamentally re-engineered in ways that defy statistical prediction. They have not merely used the tools, they have transformed them. Their energy signatures, while still falling within the Tier 3 classification, exhibit a surprising coherence and stability, far beyond what should be achievable with the foundational principles we imparted. The Nexus pulsed with an excited, almost frantic energy, a rare display for the K-Tari. Their data streams had begun to show inconsistencies, deviations from predicted evolutionary models, and this was an anomaly they found both fascinating and deeply troubling. This pronouncement sent a ripple of disquiet through the chamber. Elder Cathar's light flared, acknowledging the K-Tari's findings. Re-engineered? How? With what resources? Our detailed observation protocols indicated no access to exotic materials beyond their home system, nor any acquisition of more advanced technological principles from other unmonitored sources. Their material science, as we understood it, was limited. His voice, though still calm, held an edge of something akin to incredulity. The Viral Imperium had a well-established understanding of universal technological progression, and humanity seemed to be skipping several steps. Precisely, Elder, the omniscient Nexus responded, its data streams flowing with greater intensity. They utilized the very scrap we provided. The resonant frequency of the gravitational stabilizers, deemed suitable only for minor atmospheric displacement, has been repurposed for enhanced structural integrity in their orbital platforms. The rudimentary long-range sensor arrays, designed for planetary observation, now exhibit a modulated sweep capable of detecting faint FTL signatures at ranges previously thought impossible for their technological base. They have taken the foundational, scrap, and through an iterative process of experimentation and collective design, extracted efficiencies and applications that were not even theoretical within the original Viral schematics. The silence that followed was profound, heavy with the weight of revelation. To the ancient, established civilizations of the Viral Imperium, who had refined their technologies over millennia, the idea of an emergent species not only grasping but surpassing the inherent limitations of provided schematics with such speed was almost heretical. It challenged their very understanding of technological evolution, their carefully constructed hierarchies of knowledge. Gormek Commander Vrax broke the silence, his voice a low growl of contained fury. This is not mere innovation, this is a defiance of established order. They were given tools for internal development, not for external expansion or strategic advantage. This suggests either an inherent cunning or a capacity for unexpected intellectual leaps that makes them extremely dangerous. We must deploy an observation fleet, a visible presence, to assess their true capabilities and intentions. Deterrence is paramount. His projections darkened, radiating a primal, warlike intensity. Ambassador Lyra, however, held her ground. And what would such a visible presence achieve, Commander? Only to provoke, to confirm any latent fears they may harbor regarding alien invasion. Our historical records are replete with instances where overzealous deterrence led to unnecessary conflict. We must understand the why before we consider the how. Why have they taken these scrap technologies and pushed them beyond our expectations? What drives this unprecedented ingenuity? Her light glowed with an almost empathetic curiosity. Elder Cathar, his form now a steady, deep violet, acknowledged the gravity of the K-Tari's findings and the diverging views. The question, Ambassador Lyra, is indeed critical. What drives them? The K-Tari Nexus, provide your most comprehensive analysis of their societal and psychological profiles. Are there patterns, anomalies within their cultural frameworks that explain this trajectory? The omniscient Nexus expanded its projection, data streams swirling with greater complexity. Humanity's societal structures are highly varied, paradoxical in their nature. They possess a fierce individualism coupled with an extraordinary capacity for collective action. Their history is rife with internal conflicts, yet they demonstrate an unparalleled resilience in the face of external threats. Their concept of innovation is not merely incremental improvement, it is often characterized by radical, divergent thinking. They exhibit a curious drive towards optimization and efficiency, even in contexts that to us would seem trivial. They speak of pushing boundaries, of discovering limits only to exceed them. This appears to be a deeply ingrained cultural imperative, almost a biological drive. A biological drive for optimization, Vrax scoffed, his chitin vibrating slightly. What practical application does this have beyond crude efficiency? We, the Gormek, optimize for strength, for strategic dominance. The Xylos for intellectual purity, the Viral for universal order. What do humans optimize for? Survival at all costs, the Nexus projected, its voice losing some of its detached analytical quality, gaining a hint of awe. Adaptation under any circumstances. They possess an almost terrifying capacity to extract utility from adversity, to take the insufficient, the broken, the discarded, and reforge it into something functional, something superior. They call this ingenuity, or more colloquially, making do with what they've got. And often they define what they've got in the broadest possible terms. A profound stillness descended upon the chamber. Making do with what they've got. The phrase, translated through the virile universal lexicon, resonated with a deep, unsettling truth. It spoke of a species not limited by resources, but by imagination. A species that did not see boundaries, but opportunities. Elder Cathar initiated the formal protocol for interspecies dialogue. We must engage. We must understand. The Cathari Nexus prepare a comprehensive diplomatic package, emphasizing transparency and peaceful intent. Ambassador Lyra, your expertise in first contact protocols will be invaluable. Commander Vrax, your tactical assessments will inform our strategic positioning, but direct military intervention is, at this juncture, explicitly forbidden. We will make first contact, we will extend an invitation, and we will observe their response with utmost scrutiny. The unanimous assent of the collective mind rippled through the chamber, each projection dimming slightly as their individual consciousnesses converged on the momentous decision. The age of passive observation was over. The age of direct engagement with humanity had begun, and the virile Imperium, for the first time in millennia, felt a tremor of something truly new in the galactic tapestry. The virile diplomatic vessel, the Pax Solaris, a sleek, silent titan of burnished chrome and shimmering crystalline facets, emerged from FTL at the designated coordinates. It hung motionless in the black void, a beacon of virile authority and technological prowess, dwarfing the scattered, still-developing human outposts that dotted the system. Its presence was not aggressive, but undeniably overwhelming. Long-range sensors on the Pax Solaris confirmed the Cathari's analysis. Human orbital stations, while aesthetically crude by virile standards, pulsed with an unusual efficiency. Energy conduits, seemingly cobbled together from salvaged components, hummed with a stable power output that defied their apparent simplicity. Shield harmonics, derived from the Viral's rudimentary gravitational stabilizers, showed a surprising resilience, modulating against the faint, passive energy scans of the Pax Solaris. On the bridge of the Pax Solaris, Captain Xylos, a being of serene blue light whose form could shift to reflect the emotional state of her crew, observed the human systems. Her internal processors noted the intricate dance of human traffic, small, utilitarian transports ferrying resources, maintenance drones performing repairs with a peculiar human ingenuity, adapting tools on the fly. Their activity levels are consistently high, Captain Xylos projected to her first officer, a Gormek of advanced tactical aptitude named Zarth. A constant state of adaptation, of invention, even in their daily operations. Zarth, whose multifaceted eyes scanned the tactical displays, grunted. They are like a swarm of industrious insects, Captain, relentless, but lacking in true strategic vision. Their ingenuity is localized, reactive. We will observe their diplomatic response. If it is hesitant, if it is aggressive, then we will know their true nature. Zarth's projections of the human vessels showed no aggressive posturing, but his internal metrics still registered them as a potential threat. The Gormek philosophy viewed all unknowns as potential threats until proven otherwise, and humanity was still very much an unknown. A sudden, unexpected burst of modulated energy registered on the Pax Solaris's main communications array. It was a direct hail, surprisingly clear, surprisingly professional. Not the chaotic, fragmented signals expected from a Tier 3 civilization. The Cathari's assessment of their re-engineered sensor arrays, had been understated. "They are hailing us," Captain Xylos stated, a hint of surprise in her voice. "Directly, and with a frequency modulation that suggests they anticipated our communication protocols despite never having encountered them before. K-Tari Nexus, your analysis." The K-Tari Nexus, present on the Pax Solaris as a contained holographic projection, pulsed with enhanced data. Their re-engineered long-range sensor array, derived from our basic schematics, possesses an unexpected capability for signal analysis and reverse engineering. They have not merely detected our presence. They have extrapolated our likely communication methodology from faint FTL signature harmonics and background radiation patterns. A remarkable feat, given the primitive nature of the core technology. The Nexus's tone was no longer one of mere observation, but of genuine intellectual admiration. "Patch them through, Captain," Xylos commanded, her light shifting to a calm, welcoming cerulean. "Let us hear their voice." The main viewscreen shimmered, resolving into a clear image of a human. He was a being of modest stature, with calm, intelligent eyes and a carefully maintained demeanor. He wore a simple, functional uniform devoid of excessive adornment. Behind him, a bridge pulsed with what seemed to be salvaged and repurposed displays, yet they functioned with an undeniable coherence. "Greetings," the human began, his voice surprisingly clear, devoid of static or hesitation, even through the universal translator. "This is Captain Eva Rostova of the United Earth Stellar Command Vessel, Argonaut. We detected your arrival and extended a communication channel. We welcome you to our system. While your vessel appears significantly more advanced than any we have encountered, your non-aggressive energy signatures and diplomatic frequency modulations suggest a peaceful intent. Am I correct in this assumption?" Captain Xylos was momentarily taken aback by the directness, the clarity of the human assessment. No fear, no awe, only a calm, rational inquiry. "You are entirely correct, Captain Rostova," Xylos projected, her form radiating the virile symbol of peace. "I am Captain Xylos of the Viral Imperium. Our purpose here is one of peaceful first contact and diplomatic outreach. We have observed your species with interest and now seek to establish formal relations. We wish to extend an invitation for your representatives to join the Galactic Commonwealth." Rostova's gaze was steady, unwavering. "The Galactic Commonwealth. We have, through our expanded sensor network, gathered fragmented data regarding established galactic entities. We understand the implications of such an invitation. We accept. We will prepare our diplomatic envoy. However," Rostova paused, her gaze momentarily shifting, "we must address a matter of historical precedent. Your Imperium provided us with a package of technological schematics some time ago, ostensibly to aid our development. While we are grateful for the assistance, we have discovered certain discrepancies within the provided data, discrepancies that, frankly, seem designed to limit our growth rather than facilitate it." Her tone was not accusatory, but calmly assertive, a factual observation presented without rancor, yet with undeniable firmness. A low hum of internal alarm pulsed through Captain Xylos. The human had seen through the Viral's subtle manipulation, through their carefully curated scrap technologies, and they were addressing it directly without hesitation. Zarth's chitin rippled with contained aggression. "They accuse us of deceit," he projected internally to Xylos. "This is insolence. We should terminate the communication." "Silence, Zarth," Xylos commanded internally, her voice firm. "This is not insolence. This is an uncomfortable truth presented with admirable candor. Humanity is testing our sincerity." Captain Xylos composed herself, projecting an aura of sincere regret. "Captain Rostova, I understand your concerns. The Viral Imperium has in the past employed cautious methodologies when encountering emergent species, driven by a desire to maintain galactic stability and prevent unchecked technological proliferation. Our intent was never malicious, merely conservative. We stand ready to address these discrepancies and rectify any perceived imbalances. We seek a relationship built on trust and mutual respect." Rostova nodded slowly, her expression unreadable. "Trust and mutual respect are indeed essential, Captain Xylos. We look forward to discussing these matters further with your diplomatic envoy. Until then, we will maintain our current positions. Safe travels." The image flickered, then vanished. A profound silence descended upon the bridge of the Pax Solaris. Captain Xylos felt a tremor of something new, something that transcended simple threat assessment. Humanity was not merely ingenious, they were perceptive, they were direct. And they were unafraid to challenge established powers. even those vastly superior in technology. They saw through it, Xylos whispered, her light dimming slightly. The scrap, they knew. Zarth, surprisingly, did not advocate for aggression. Instead, a peculiar glint entered his multifaceted eyes. They possess a profound self-awareness, Captain. A species that understands it is being underestimated and chooses to address it with such calm assurance. That is a species that commands respect, or, at the very least, requires a complete reevaluation of our strategic parameters. The journey to the Viral homeworld, a meticulously crafted sphere of living crystal orbiting a binary sun, was undertaken by the human diplomatic vessel, the Spirit of Unity, with a silent dignity that surprised many Viral observers. It was a vessel clearly born of necessity, its hull a patchwork of optimized alloys and repurposed plating, yet it moved through the void with an unexpected grace, its repurposed gravitic drives humming with a subtle, resonant frequency that spoke of a deep understanding of the Viral's own scrap technology, now woven into a cohesive whole. Upon arrival at the Viral homeworld's orbital dock, a structure of immense, polished obsidian designed to impress and intimidate, the Spirit of Unity engaged its docking protocols with a precision that belied its utilitarian appearance. The Viral delegation, led by Elder Cathar himself, stood waiting in the cavernous receiving bay. The air was thick with the silent expectations of an ancient empire encountering a challenging new species. The ramp of the Spirit of Unity descended, revealing a small human delegation. At its head stood Ambassador Li Wei, a woman whose bearing was one of quiet strength and profound intelligence. She was accompanied by 2 scientific advisors and a single, silent security attaché, whose posture spoke of disciplined vigilance. Their attire was simple, functional, yet projected an air of quiet confidence. Elder Cathar, his form radiating a composed, welcoming aura, initiated the formal greeting. Ambassador Li Wei, on behalf of the Viral Imperium and the Galactic Commonwealth, I extend our sincerest welcome. Your journey was swift. We trust your accommodations meet your expectations. Ambassador Li Wei's voice was calm, clear, resonating through the universal translator with an almost melodic quality. Elder Cathar, the journey was uneventful and your hospitality is noted. We appreciate the opportunity for direct dialogue. Her eyes, sharp and intelligent, scanned the vast chamber, taking in the Viral delegates, the imposing architecture, the silent, watchful security drones. No discernible fear, no awe, only calm, analytical observation. The initial diplomatic sessions were, to the Viral's surprise, characterized by a directness and a philosophical depth they had not anticipated. Ambassador Li Wei did not shy away from the contentious issue of the scrap technologies. Elder Cathar, Li Wei began, her voice steady in the grand diplomatic chamber. We must address the matter of the initial technological package your Imperium provided. We understand the Viral Imperium's desire for galactic stability and caution regarding emergent species. However, the deliberate withholding of critical information, the purposeful introduction of inefficiencies, and the subtle sabotage of advanced principles within the provided schematics. This speaks of a foundational distrust that we believe must be resolved before any genuine alliance can be forged. A ripple of discomfort went through the Viral delegates. Ambassador Lyra of the Xylos Collective, ever the voice of reason, projected a placating aura. Ambassador Li Wei, your terminology is strong. Sabotage suggests malicious intent. Our actions were guided by caution, not malice. We sought to guide, not to hinder. Li Wei met Lyra's gaze without flinching. When a species is given a set of instructions for constructing a device, and those instructions deliberately include outdated or flawed components or omit crucial energy efficiency schematics, the result is an inferior product. When that inferiority is intentional, designed to limit the recipient's capabilities, then it is, by definition, an act of intentional hindering. Call it what you will, Ambassador Lyra. To us, it was a test. A test of our ability to adapt, to innovate, to overcome limitations that were, for all intents and purposes, artificial. Elder Cathar's form deepened in color, acknowledging the weight of her words. And you overcame these artificial limitations, Ambassador. The Qatari Nexus has provided comprehensive reports on humanity's remarkable ability to re-engineer, to optimize, to extract efficiencies from what we considered scrap. This ingenuity is indeed extraordinary. Extraordinary, perhaps, Li Wei conceded, but also born of necessity. When a species is presented with insufficient tools for a task, it must either fail or create its own solutions. We chose the latter. We discovered that the gravitational stabilizers you provided, while capable of minor atmospheric displacement, possessed a resonant frequency that, when modulated through a specific series of field inversions, could generate a localized, coherent shield matrix far exceeding the standard protocols. The long-range sensors you gave us, when their optical array was modified with repurposed crystalline components, and their energy input was pulsed with a nonlinear charge, could detect faint FTL signatures from greater distances, even discerning their vector of origin with surprising accuracy. We took what you gave us and we asked ourselves, what else can this do? What more can we make it do? A silent, almost reverent awe permeated the chamber. To hear a human calmly describe their dismantling and rebuilding of Viral-supplied technology, not with anger but with a detached, almost scientific pride, was a profound experience. They had not just learned, they had surpassed. They had demonstrated a profound philosophical difference. The Viral saw limitations, the humans saw potential. Commander Vrax, present as a tactical observer, finally spoke, his deep voice resonating with grudging respect. You speak of taking scrap and making it superior. Can you elaborate on this philosophy? This ingenuity that seems to be a foundational aspect of your species? Li Wei inclined her head. We have a saying on Earth, Commander Vrax, necessity is the mother of invention. For much of our history, humanity has faced scarcity, hardship, and challenges that demanded radical solutions. We learned to repair, to repurpose, to make do. Every discarded component, every seemingly trivial principle holds potential. A broken machine is not useless. It is a source of parts, of lessons, of new possibilities. We do not see obsolescence, we see opportunity. We do not see limitations. We see a problem to be solved, a boundary to be pushed. Her words hung in the air, a stark revelation. The Viral Imperium, in its vast abundance, its ancient wisdom, had forgotten the raw, desperate ingenuity born of struggle. They had grown comfortable in their established paradigms, their perfected technologies. Humanity, it seemed, was still very much in the struggle, and that struggle had forged something truly unique. Over the ensuing weeks, the human delegation engaged with various Viral specialists, not only in diplomacy, but in engineering, theoretical physics, and even cultural exchange. To the Viral's astonishment, the human scientists, despite their relatively primitive technological base, engaged with Viral physicists on incredibly complex theoretical concepts, often offering novel perspectives or pointing out subtle implications that the Viral had overlooked due to their ingrained assumptions. A pivotal moment occurred during a joint engineering seminar, where a Viral gravitic field specialist was presenting a newly developed, highly efficient FTL coil. The Viral design, born of millennia of refinement, was elegant, complex, and utilized exotic materials refined over centuries. One of the human scientific advisors, Dr. Aris Thorne, a quiet man with intensely focused eyes, examined the holographic projection of the Viral coil. A remarkable achievement, Thorne stated, his voice calm. The energy transference rate is indeed impressive. However, if I may offer a thought experiment, what would happen if you were to introduce a momentary, asymmetrical harmonic resonance at this specific juncture of the field containment array, utilizing a low-grade, readily available ferrous alloy, rather than the refined cranidium crystal? Our own calculations, based on the Viral, scrap, gravitational stabilizers, suggest it might create a localized field distortion that could momentarily reduce inertial dampening, thereby allowing for a marginal increase in FTL velocity without significantly increasing energy expenditure. It would introduce a greater stress on the primary containment, yes, but the potential gains might outweigh the maintenance. The Viral specialist, a being of pure energy fields named Catrix, initially scoffed. Ferrous alloy? Dr. Thorne, we are discussing FTL mechanics, not rudimentary orbital construction. Cranidium crystal is essential for stabilizing the quantum fluctuations. A ferrous alloy would simply shatter, or worse, contaminate the entire field. Haps, Thorne replied, unperturbed. But we are speaking of a precisely modulated momentary resonance, not a constant presence, and the ferrous alloy would be effectively a sacrificial component easily replaced. We have found that by accepting a minimal, controlled degradation of a less critical component, we can sometimes achieve disproportionate gains in primary function. It is a philosophy born of resource constraint, perhaps, but one that has yielded unexpected results for us. Intrigued and somewhat irritated by the human's audacity, Catrix ran a rapid simulation. To his utter disbelief, the simulation showed a slight, but undeniable increase in FTL velocity with only a minimal, manageable stress on the primary containment. The ferrous alloy would indeed degrade faster, but its replacement was trivial. The VRAL had never even conceived of intentionally introducing a sacrifice component into a perfected system. It works, K-Trix projected, his energy field flickering with astonishment. It is inefficient in terms of component longevity, yes, but remarkably efficient in terms of overall velocity. A pragmatic solution born of a different perspective. This incident, replicated in various forms across different scientific and engineering disciplines, began to shift the VRAL perspective on humanity. They were not merely clever. They approached problems from fundamentally different angles born of necessity, of making do, of extracting every last drop of utility from limited resources. The culminating moment arrived during a full session of the collective mind, where the VRAL were to formalize the terms of humanity's entry into the Galactic Commonwealth. Elder Cathar, with Ambassador Li Wei standing calmly before the assembled projections, addressed the core issue. Ambassador Li Wei, Cathar began, his voice imbued with solemnity, the VRAL Imperium acknowledges the profound ingenuity and unique perspective that humanity brings to the galactic stage. We recognize that our initial assistance was, in hindsight, flawed. It underestimated your species' capacity for innovation and indeed its ethical fortitude. We extend our sincerest apologies for this misjudgment. Li Wei nodded, her expression remaining composed. Apology accepted, Elder Cathar. We understand the motivations behind your caution, however misguided. We believe that true understanding can only be built on transparency. Indeed, Cathar affirmed. And in that spirit of transparency, and in light of your proven capabilities, the VRAL Imperium wishes to offer humanity full access to our comprehensive technological archives, our advanced FTL drives, energy generation systems, and defensive technologies. We wish to share, without reservation, the full breadth of our knowledge to foster a true alliance of equals. A collective murmur rippled through the projections of the collective mind. This was an unprecedented offer. Never before had the VRAL offered unreserved access to their core technologies to an emergent species. It was a testament to the profound shift in their perception of humanity. Ambassador Li Wei listened, then, to the surprise of many, she shook her head. Elder Cathar, we appreciate the magnitude of this offer. It is a gesture of immense trust, and we do not take it lightly. However, humanity respectfully declines full, unreserved access to your technological archives. A collective gasp, a ripple of confusion, swept through the chamber. To decline such an offer was unthinkable. It was an insult, a rejection of the very premise of the alliance. Commander Vrax's projections surged with anger. Decline? Are you mad, human? You reject an offer of ultimate power. This is either supreme arrogance or profound folly. Li Wei held up a hand, silencing the Gormek. Her voice remained calm, unwavering. Neither, Commander Vrax. It is a matter of principle and of sustainability. We have spent generations learning to take what we have, however meager, and to make it suffice to make it more. We have forged our understanding of the universe through challenge, through necessity, through the tireless work of our own hands and minds. To simply be handed millennia of perfected technology, to bypass the arduous process of discovery and innovation, it would not make us stronger. It would make us dependent. It would make us complacent. It would strip us of the very ingenuity you now claim to admire. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. We do not wish to be given a perfect solution. We wish to earn our place. We wish to continue to learn. We wish to contribute, not merely consume. Therefore, we respectfully request specific, foundational principles, core theories, advanced mathematical models, exotic material properties, rather than fully constructed designs or complete schematics. Give us the concepts, Elder Cathar. Give us the scrap of your knowledge. And we will build our own solutions, optimized for our unique circumstances, our unique philosophy, and our unique needs. We will, in our own way, earn our place among you, not as beneficiaries, but as contributors. The silence that followed was unlike any other. It was not a silence of confusion or anger, but of profound, introspective contemplation. The VRAL, in their ancient wisdom, had encountered countless species, but never one that rejected the ultimate gift of perfected knowledge, choosing instead the path of self-reliance and continuous struggle. Elder Cathar's form began to expand, radiating a brilliant golden light, a signal of profound understanding and profound respect. Ambassador Li Wei, your people truly are unique. You choose the crucible over comfort. You choose growth over stasis. You choose the struggle of creation over the ease of acquisition. This is a revelation. He turned to the collective mind. Colleagues, we have misjudged humanity not by their potential for destruction, but by their potential for something far greater. An unwavering commitment to self-discovery, to the relentless pursuit of improvement, even when faced with overwhelming generosity. They are not merely ingenious with scrap. They are fundamentally driven by the spirit of scrap, to find value in the overlooked, strength in the imperfect, and potential in the unrefined. The collective mind, through a symphony of harmonized projections, assented. The Gormek commander Vrax, his chiton shimmering with a newfound respect, projected a single, profound truth. They would rather build their own warship from a pile of broken components than be given a perfectly engineered flagship. Because the one they build, they will understand, they will optimize, and they will truly own. And so humanity entered the Galactic Commonwealth, not as a client species, but as a species that had forged its own path, even from the scrap of virile generosity. They were given not finished schematics, but foundational theories, not perfected components, but raw, unrefined data on exotic materials and fundamental physical laws. And from this scrap of knowledge, humanity began to build. Years, then decades passed. The Galactic Commonwealth flourished, strengthened by humanity's unique contributions. Their ships, while still bearing the hallmarks of their ingenuity from necessity, aesthetic, became powerhouses of efficiency and surprising capability. They didn't build the fastest ships, nor the most heavily armed in raw tonnage, but their vessels possessed an uncanny resilience, an adaptability born of modular design and multi-purpose systems that could be reconfigured on the fly. A single human cruiser, designed with the viral's theoretical scrap on adaptive shielding and reinforced with humanity's own re-engineered structural integrity fields, could withstand engagements that would cripple larger, more specialized vessels. They became known for their ability to take damage and keep fighting, to repair systems under combat, to extract every last spark of life from a failing engine. Their contributions extended beyond physical engineering. Human philosophers, drawing on their species' complex history of struggle and triumph, offered new perspectives on galactic ethics, on the nature of artificial intelligence, and on the very definition of progress. Human scientists, using their unique approach of problem-focused research, often found practical applications for virile theoretical breakthroughs that had been dismissed as purely academic. The Gormek, once wary, became some of humanity's most ardent, if gruff, admirers. They respected strength forged in adversity, and humanity exemplified it. They observed human military engineers taking damaged Gormek cruisers, salvaged from skirmishes with rogue factions, and rather than replacing entire sections with pristine virile components, humanity would mend them. They would analyze the structural weaknesses, apply their own re-engineered virile alloys, and reinforce them, often making the patched-up sections stronger than the original. Gormek commanders began requesting human repair crews for their fleets, knowing that a human-mended ship was often more robust than a factory-new one. This era of unprecedented cooperation continued, marked by a quiet, steady progress that rippled throughout the Commonwealth. And then the signal came. It was not a directed message, not a beacon. It was a disturbance, a subtle, rhythmic ripple in the very fabric of spacetime, emanating from the galactic core. The Qatari Nexus, whose vast data-gathering network now stretched across myriad star systems, was the first to detect it. The Nexus, which had previously vibrated with a contained excitement over humanity's ingenuity, now thrummed with an almost overwhelming sense of dread. A new emergency session of the collective mind was convened, far exceeding the urgency of humanity's first contact. Elder Cathar, his form radiating an unfamiliar anxiety, addressed the chamber. The Qatari Nexus has detected a gravitational anomaly emanating from the galactic core. It is not natural. It is a repeating pattern, a cyclical distortion of spacetime that is both immense in scale and utterly alien in its signature. The omniscient Nexus, its projection in the chamber now a swirling maelstrom of frantic data streams, pulsed with an almost unbearable intensity. The anomaly is a pulse, Elder, a repetitive, highly structured gravitational wave. Its frequency is too precise. Its energy signature too deliberate to be a natural phenomenon. It is an artificial construction, a colossal mechanism operating on a scale that defies our comprehension. Its power output, it is staggering. We estimate its energy signature to be equivalent to that of a collapsing protostar focused into a singular rhythmic beat. Ambassador Lyra, her cerulean form now tinged with a deep unease, projected her concern. An artificial construction of that magnitude? What could possibly create such a thing? What purpose could it serve? The Nexus processed her query, its internal processes struggling to reconcile the impossible data. The gravitational pulse acts as a modulator. It is sending a message, a universal language of physics etched into spacetime itself. We are attempting to decrypt it, but its complexity is vast, its origin profoundly ancient. Its implications, however, are clearer. This is a weapon, or a warning, or both. Gormek Commander Vrax, his usual belligerence replaced by a cold, calculating fear, projected. A weapon? What weapon could generate such an energy signature without tearing itself apart? What target could justify such an expenditure of power? The Qatari Nexus has extrapolated the target, the Nexus projected, its voice now tinged with a digital shiver that bordered on terror. The gravitational wave is not directed at a specific star system. It is a wave propagating outward through the entire galactic disk. It is a wave designed to unravel the very fabric of stable space, to destabilize FTL travel, to cripple all advanced civilizations reliant on warp gates and hyperspace conduits. It is designed to quarantine the galaxy, or perhaps to destroy it. A profound, terrified silence descended upon the chamber. A weapon of such scale, designed not for conquest but for cosmic-scale isolation or annihilation, was beyond anything the Viral Imperium had ever conceived. It transcended conventional warfare. It was an existential threat. Elder Cathar looked at the human ambassador Li Wei, who stood with her delegation, her face unreadable, yet her eyes held a spark of intense focus. Ambassador Li Wei, your species has a unique perspective on adversity. What does humanity make of this catastrophe? Li Wei stepped forward, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the growing panic in the chamber. Elder Cathar, the Qatari Nexus's interpretation is sound. This is indeed a deliberate artificial construct. Its purpose, as inferred from the physics, is to render FTL travel impossible, to shatter hyperspace lanes, to isolate systems. It is not an act of war as we understand it, but an act of cosmic-scale quarantine. The question is why? Why does not matter? Vrax interjected, his voice raw with fear. What matters is how we stop it. What defense do we have against a weapon that warps reality itself? None, Commander Vrax, the Nexus projected, its data streams flowing with greater despair. The energy required to counteract such a wave would be beyond the combined resources of the entire Commonwealth. Our FTL drives would be shredded, our ships trapped, our civilizations isolated, then extinguished. There is no defense against a force of this magnitude acting on a galactic scale. Perhaps not a defense, Li Wei stated, her voice cutting through the despair, but an adaptation. Humanity, Elder Cathar, has been quietly developing our own FTL drive systems based on the theoretical scrap of viral warp field dynamics and our own re-engineered graviton projectors. We believe we have found a way to navigate the turbulent, destabilized space this wave will create, not to counteract it, but to traverse it. Another wave of stunned silence, to traverse, not to fight, to adapt, not to despair. This was the essence of humanity. Explain, Ambassador, Elder Cathar commanded, his voice filled with a desperate, burgeoning hope. The gravitational wave, while destructive to stable hyperspace, also creates localized, albeit chaotic, pockets of extreme spacetime compression, Li Wei explained, her scientific advisor, Dr. Thorne, activating a complex holographic projection of the wave's physics. Our FTL drives, designed with a more robust adaptive field matrix, a consequence of our make-do philosophy and the need for versatility, can, with significant modification, potentially ride these compression pockets. It will be akin to navigating a storm. Dangerous, unpredictable, but theoretically possible. We do not need a perfect, stable hyperspace. We only need a path. But the stress on your vessels, Ambassador Lyra projected, concern in her voice. The energy demands your ships are not designed for such extreme conditions. Our ships are designed for resilience, Ambassador Lyra, Li Wei corrected, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touching her lips. They are designed to operate beyond their theoretical limits, our structural integrity fields born from your discarded gravit. Ike stabilizer schematics are more adaptable. Our energy systems, optimized from your scrap power relays, can reroute and overcharge with greater stability than even our own engineers initially predicted. We will take what we have built from the scrap you gave us, and we will make it do. Dr. Thorne took over the explanation, his quiet intensity radiating through the chamber. We have developed a prototype drive modification, which we call the Stormrider Array. It uses a phased gravitic pulse to create a transient, localized micro-hyperspace bubble around the vessel, allowing it to surf the peaks and troughs of the galactic core's gravitational wave. It is incredibly risky. The failure rate in simulation is high. But it is the only viable path to continue interstellar travel once the wave fully engulfs the galaxy. You speak of failure rate, Vrax growled, but also of the only viable path. If this wave is indeed a quarantine, then humanity's proposed solution is our only hope for continued survival as a galactic-spanning civilization. Can you do it, human? Can you truly build a functional FTL drive that can navigate this cosmic maelstrom? Li Wei's gaze swept across the assembled projections of the collective mind, her eyes holding an unwavering resolve. Commander Vrax, we have taken your scrap and built a civilization. We have taken your flawed schematics and built ships that endure. We have taken your initial distrust and built an alliance. Give us this new scrap, the raw, terrifying physics of this galactic pulse, and we will find a way to navigate it. We will build the ships that will carry the Commonwealth through the storm. Elder Cathar's form radiated an energy that transcended fear, transcended hope. It was a profound, awestruck understanding. Then humanity will lead the way, provide the specifications for this Stormrider Array. The Commonwealth will mobilize all its resources to adapt its fleets under humanity's guidance. The Viral Imperium will provide the theoretical physicists, the Gormek the industrial capacity, the Xylos the computational power. We will, together, forge a path through this unprecedented threat. We will, under your guidance, learn to adapt. The decision was made. The galactic core pulsed, its rhythmic, reality-warping gravitational waves slowly, inexorably spreading outward. Panic threatened to erupt across the myriad species of the Commonwealth, but humanity's calm resolve, their unwavering confidence in their ability to adapt and build from the seemingly impossible, became a steadying force. Human engineers, collaborating with Viral physicists, Gormek manufacturing specialists, and Xylos computational architects, worked tirelessly. The Stormrider Array was complex, brutal in its energy demands, and brutally unforgiving in its operational parameters. But it was humanity's design, born of their unique philosophy of extracting every last ounce of utility from any given resource, no matter how limited or chaotic. They had designed it to accept massive, transient stresses, to operate with components on the verge of failure, to repair and reroute power in real time, essentially making do with the unpredictable nature of the galactic pulse itself. As the galactic pulse intensified, rendering established hyperspace lanes increasingly unstable, the Commonwealth fleets, now equipped with the hastily constructed Stormrider arrays, gathered at the fringes of the safe zones, preparing for the inevitable. The stakes were astronomical. Failure meant isolation, collapse, and the slow, inevitable death of galactic civilization. Then the final, terrifying wave hit. The galaxy shuddered. Hyperspace collapsed into a chaotic maelstrom of distorted reality. Star charts became meaningless. Panic threatened to overwhelm the Commonwealth fleets. But the human-designed Stormrider arrays, humming with their re-engineered power, engaged. The human ships, led by the spirit of unity, plunged into the storm. They bucked, they groaned, their shields flared as spacetime twisted around them. But they moved, they traversed, they found the path. And as the other Commonwealth ships, guided by human navigators, followed, struggling, adapting, and ultimately succeeding in traversing the newly chaotic interstellar medium, a new piece of data emerged from the Qatari nexus. The rhythmic gravitational pulse, while initially understood as a weapon or a quarantine, was far more complex. The nexus, having finally decrypted a substantial portion of the ancient, physics-encoded message, projected its findings to the collective mind. The source of the gravitational pulse, it is not a weapon of destruction, the nexus projected, its voice now tinged not with terror but with a profound, almost philosophical wonder. It is a cosmic signal, a distress call, and a map. Elder Cathar's form pulsed with a sudden, overwhelming hope. A distress call, from whom, and a map to what? From a civilization of immense antiquity from outside our galaxy, the nexus explained, its data streams flowing with an accelerating clarity. A civilization that faced an existential threat beyond anything we have conceived. They sent this signal, this gravitational wave, not to quarantine us, but to test us, to force us to adapt, to force us to develop an FTL method capable of traversing truly chaotic space. It is a cosmic filter. Only those who could adapt, only those who could take the raw scrap of a reality-altering wave and forge a path through it, were deemed worthy of receiving their message. They designed it to find the species with the ultimate capacity for survival, for ingenuity, for adaptation under impossible circumstances. And the message itself, Ambassador Lyra asked, her voice hushed with awe. It is a warning, the Nexus projected, its voice solemn, of an entity, an ancient cosmic horror that devours galaxies, that consumes all stable reality. It is an entity approaching our own. And the map, it is a map to a hidden sector, a sanctuary, a unified defense formed by countless galaxies that have received this same test, this same signal. A place where all who passed the test, all who built their own way through the cosmic storm, are now united. They seek allies, survivors. And they seek us. A profound silence filled the chamber. The galactic core's pulse, once a harbinger of doom, was now revealed as an impossible test, an ancient invitation, a call to a unity far grander than the Commonwealth could have ever imagined. And humanity, with their quiet ingenuity, their unwavering belief in making do with what they had, their ability to build a path from cosmic scrap, had answered that call. Elder Cathar turned to Ambassador Li Wei, his form radiating an incandescent light of profound respect and gratitude. Ambassador, your people, you have saved us all. You have shown us that even in the face of impossible odds, even when given only scrap, the spirit of ingenuity, the will to adapt, can forge a path where none existed. You have not just joined the Commonwealth, you have redefined it. And now you will lead us to a new frontier, to a new form of unity, forged not in comfort, but in the crucible of cosmic adversity. Li Wei nodded, her gaze fixed on the holographic projection of the ancient, star-spanning map, her eyes holding the glimmer of both profound challenge and limitless potential. We always knew that scrap could be more than just discarded components, Elder Cathar. It is the raw material of possibility, and humanity, it seems, has just begun to build. The journey to the galactic sanctuary would be long, fraught with danger, a path through chaos itself. But humanity, with the lessons learned from scrap and the indomitable spirit forged in necessity, was ready to lead. They had taken what was given, what was insufficient, what was meant to limit, and they had built the most resilient, the most adaptable, the most profoundly resourceful force in a galaxy now awakened to the true meaning of ingenuity. They had given them scrap, and humanity had built a future.